Hello, everyone. If you are listening to the recording, this is our first guest presenter since COVID began, and I'm so excited. Elena Radford, a Peruvian shaman, will be joining us very soon, and you will definitely want to have your have water with you. So go get a big glass of water. It'll be part of the process. And we will begin soon. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Yes, you too.
Well, okay, I am just going to admit some people joining. Yay! Addie and Christy and Elena, welcome. Hi. We're just, I'm just letting a few people in right now. We'll just hang tight. If you are here with us, either on the recording or live, it's really important that you have water with you. So if you don't have some water, go get yourself a water bottle, a glass of water. It'll be part of the process. So you will need that. So we'll just take a minute to let it, yay, Virginia's got it. Look at it. Everyone's like, we got our water. We got this down. You don't need to go get any. So good to see you all. Tammy, are you back from the lake house?
No, I am still here.
Oh my goodness. How are you feeling better?
I am feeling better. I still have a lot of chest congestion and stuff, but much more energy.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. So good. Well, I'm glad you made it.
Thanks. I know I actually got the time right.
Yay! I know you put on Facebook and I'm like in 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes.
Oh, I need so much help.
So good. Well, I'm so glad you're here. And Miss Addie Hutchinson. Oh, girl, I miss you. It's so good I don't see you, but I see your name and that makes me happy.
Thanks, Jenny.
Hi, hun. Sending you lots of love.
Need it.
Okay, you made it, and I'm so psyched. So if everyone has a glass of water, we are going to begin here in just about 10 more seconds. I want to introduce you all to Elena Radford. She is such an amazing human, a Peruvian shaman, a healer. And oh, Nancy's joining us. Let me let her in really quick. And welcome, Nancy. We're so glad you're here. If I just want to say really quickly, if you don't already have a glass of water or water bottle with you, please grab that. So as I was saying, you guys, Elena and I have been working together for about 8 months. I think I've told most of you on our calls that she's helped my family and my parents and my kids and my husband, everyone. I love her. There you are. Hi. And she, one of the things that is, Elena, I'm going to have you kind of describe this a little bit, but Elena is a Peruvian shaman. And when I heard that, I always thought of shamans, like my context was around Native American shamans more so, maybe because of where I live, and doing like specific ceremonies and rituals. And my experience with Elena, she uses a very progressive, cutting edge technology, I think Elena is what you would call it, in her shaman work with you. And so I'm going to let her explain that a little bit more because my mind still hasn't wrapped around how it all actually works. It's more than I can comprehend or understand. And part of my process, not so much with Elena, but in this whole healing process of working with the different alternative modalities and healing, has been to work on letting go and releasing the need to understand everything and instead trust how I'm feeling. Because as we all have talked about, and one of our very primary goals is to learn to listen to our body. And so it's really about letting my body guide this process in my work with Elena. But with that, Elena, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me with you today. And I'm really excited about sharing my ancient people knowledge. Yeah. And I think we should, let me redefine what it is to me being a shaman.
Thank you.
All right. So it's one of those ideas that take a concept according where you're at. So if you're in Africa, they, you know, for what I know is they do sing a lot, they do dancing, and then they open up to talk to spirit, right? Now, in Native Americans, ceremonies is very important. And granted, in Peru, we have 3 different types of shamans. The ones who come from the jungle, who use medicine plants. The ones that come from the high Andes, which is where I come from. And my teachers come from. And there are, even though we do ceremonies, I think to us it's more important to work with the cellular memory. And then we have the shamans from the coast that I think they had a lot of influence from the Mayans, because the Mayans migrated after what happened into their society. They migrated to Peru. And so the impact, the teachings are a lot like human sacrifices, animal sacrifices. I mean, you get to see some of that in the coast of Peru. And so that's not definitely where would my teachings come from. But I understand how suffering and pain can be a major impact in the society. So, and so what I do, I mean, my lineage of shamanism comes directly from a group of people who was surviving a major contamination of illnesses and chronic and epidemic that was created by them misusing their power 15,000 years ago. You call it like Atlantis. And so the people that were not contaminated, they found a way how they can ship them, like in these boats to Peru, so they can conserve, they can maintain the knowledge or what was left, the pure knowledge before the major contamination that happened, right?
That's amazing.
And so when I was born with my gifts, but I was not a shaman. But I was trained to the possibility of being a shaman since I was 6 years old. So, the mountains, we call them the uplifts, have the energy that can talk to us. And so they're testing us constantly, how are our values and principles, because what I teach is based on values and principles. So since I learned that we all carry a story, every part of ourselves have a story.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get sick, it's because there's a story behind it that's not aligning to your body.
Mm-hmm.
So in
cellular integrity, right?
Yes. Yeah. Right. And so, like you have experience, when I make it aware of what's happening to your body, what's the story, then you're conscious about it, and then you make a choice, and suddenly you start healing yourself, right? Mm-hmm. It makes sounds very simple, but it's not as simple, because there's a lot of knowledge that has to come with it, into knowing how to communicate with the light beings, which is the upper world, and the underworld, which is communicating with the ancestors that are in your genetics. So it's an intense training. I mean, constantly training, because the more we go into evolution, the more we understand who we are. There are more tools to come to be able to be more accurate in the new ways of healing, because we're awakening to things that we were not aware before. So that's my story of what is shamanism.
I love that. That's really helpful. I think in cellular memory is, I feel like in my experience with you, it's been so powerful. It feels like it's everything. I know it's not everything, but our cells remember so much in this life and past lives and from traumas. And so during this conversation, Elena, of course, if you're guided to talk about something else, please do. But the two things that we really wanted to touch base on as a group is, how does trauma impact our physical manifestation of our health, right? We all know trauma and stress is connected. And based off of that, are there some group clearings or spot clearings that we might be able to do? And then the second part question is, I've been learning more and more about unconditional love for ourselves through you, and what that means is not always what we think it means, and I'm still learning that. So like addressing us around what does unconditional love really mean? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And what are some simple steps to help us to obtain that? And how is that directly related to our health and our well-being and the manifestation of chronic health in our body?
All right. So I think unconditional love, we as a beings, and I'm going to start channeling, because this is where I love about this work, to open my frequency where I can be able to talk to someone. And that's because I have learned to master in a certain level. I'm not saying I know everything about unconditional love, but loving yourself is so important to open up to higher frequencies of communication. So the best story for me is when I was invited to research into this civilization. The best way to describe this was, Jesus was here to, average of 2020 years ago. I mean, we have his birth as a time that marks specific things. So from 2,200 years ago, we really don't remember it much, right? We have some records, which is the Bible and other ones, but it was such an important event, but still it was an impact in our brain. It was a cellular memory impact that was so big that we're still trying to grab into those teachings, because it was very unique. So I experienced one time, and it took me like 5 years to be able to comprehend, because there is things just because you like a banana, that doesn't mean that you know what's the taste of the banana. So there's a lot of experiences that come into learning something. Mm-hmm. So I was presented to this possibility, right? That 120,000 years ago, we're talking about Jesus 2,000 years ago, by 120,000 years ago, there was a civilization in our society here on Earth where, and this is very special to me in the sense that I start understanding how we understand unconditional love, we can become eternal. And like in these people were able to live for long periods of time. And like in the Bible, like, you know, they talk about people were able to live for 700 years, 900 years. It's because they were able to master the unconditional love. And let me tell you why unconditional love is so important. Because our nature is to love ourselves. And when somebody creates a situation like calling you you're stupid, or you're not good enough, or you get to be bullied in school, the body goes through a trauma because suddenly it's not accepting loving yourself. So when you have a trauma, one of the things I noticed that it will impact is your immune system. A trauma teaches your body to sabotage yourself instead of creating love. So that's why when we work at trauma and we see the source of the trauma and we heal the source of the trauma, then the immune system will start responding and teaching the body to love again. And as a consequence, you can start healing yourself. And yeah, it takes some time. Sometimes the healing is almost immediately. It depends on what's the trauma, and it depends also what's the level of unconditional love we're using, right? But something else that I want to tell you is, in my experience, there are different realities, there are different dimensions. And the teachers, the masters that I work with are from the fifth dimension, the ones who come in actually do the work. If you stay connected in the fifth dimensional energy, which like in this third dimensional energy, because there's so much trauma, the exchange is conflict, and the exchange is violence, the exchange is jealousy, the exchange is sexual abuse, the exchange is physical abuse. That's the type of exchange that we have. It's like money exchange, that's the energy exchange that we have. But if we go to the fifth dimension, it's a completely different reality. There is changing. First one is the most important, happiness, communication, connection, heart to heart. Another thing that's very important is standing in your power, understanding who you are in your place in the universe. There's so many different languages to that level. And so when they come and support the memory of the cells, then suddenly they are downloading energy to your body to recover and help you to go back into unconditional love. I hope that's making sense.
Yeah, so the trauma and unconditional love are really directly related. If when we have a trauma, it impacts our unconditional love for ourselves, and that directly impacts our immune system. And one of the things that I've also discovered on my work with you, Elena, is that it seems like different traumas will directly impact not only the immune system, but a specific area or specific issue in our body. Like, say my right knee is hurting, or my left ankle, or something like that could be related to a specific trauma. You clear the trauma, and then that particular ailment seems to clear up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. So let's talk about electrons. I think electrons, to me, are the most complex part that we have inside of the atom. Yeah, we have the proton and we have the neutron that are inside of the context of what can be a physical, something that you can touch. If you were to be able to have an atom in front of you, you can actually feel the proton and the neutron. But when it comes to electron that's on the orbit, it's always moving. And it's so intelligent that if you can control the intelligence of the electron, you can change the climate, you can change, to the level of the understanding. It's such a high technology, you can even change the color of the eyes just by wishing. That's how it is, the powerful is unconditional love and loving yourself. We're just learning, right? To the point that if we can manage to live 700 years in a high, happy frequency, it is possible if we learn how to manage the electrons in the orbit and in the space. So this is really high technology that came through the Atlantis people too. And it was a storage in Peru, and some of my ancestors were training that. But that's the same technology that destroy people too, destroy humans, right? So that's why they decided in the time of Atlantis, anybody can have access to that information. But after that, things change where only we can have access to that. If we learn to love ourselves and if we understand unconditional love, so we don't destroy humanity the way we destroyed it before. So that's part of the story. And so when the electron is taking an identity where he thinks that he can overtake the movement or the space of an atom, then that's out of balance. And so if I see somebody who has a stomach problem, there can be different stories, but it's always one electron that is carrying the misbehavior. And they can be so complex to find because they're hiding something else. So it's kind of like a hunting game where the more you trust your heart, the more you'll find the source of the problem. And so that's the hardest thing of the training, that I have to learn the language of feelings in the contamination that was done, so I can trace that and be able to explain that. So, for instance, right now, whatever is happening in the world, the election, let's say that, whatever is happening with election, is just a manifestation of the imbalance of the electrons are inside of our bodies. So we are reflecting what's inside of ourselves into the outside world.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is, we are facing that through our eyes, so we can choose to change our values and principles inside of ourselves, so we can be able to change our world. And the best way to practice that, it's our bodies. So why are we getting sick? Because their body is telling you something that needs to go back into alignment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so awesome. So I feel like we can talk about this for so long, but the beauty and power really is in experiencing and feeling. So is there, Elena, I don't know how you want to do this. Is there a way that we could do a group clearing for all who want to participate, or walk us through some of the steps for beginning to feel that unconditional love? How would you best prefer, like what's the best
way to do
process?
it? Okay, so let me ask. Everybody drink a little water, please.
And if there's anyone who doesn't want to participate, Elena, if they just want to observe, then they can.
That's okay. That's all right.
Say no.
Okay, so there is one contaminations attached to our body, we don't create it, like fear, right? When we get scared, you say, I'm scared, but the truth is that you're not scared. You got contaminated with energy being scared. So once you remove that, then you can own your own energy. So we're going to start doing releasing some of those contaminations out of your body. Is that okay? So all you have to do is put your hand close to your heart. And even though I'm working in a group, when I'm talking, you are probably going to feel that I'm talking to you individually, okay? Because everybody is a different story. Everybody is a beautiful story. And when you reflect according to your story, all right? So let's see how much time we have. All right. So the first contamination that we're going to release is jealousy, okay? Jealousy is a contamination where you compare yourself to others and you eliminate your power of having a choice. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. So for instance, if I'm jealous because somebody else has more money than I do, then I'm comparing myself to that person, where I am diminishing my value because I'm making somebody else bigger than me and I'm making myself smaller, right? So you may think, no big deal. But to the body, that creates a trauma. To the body, that is something that it will trap you in a box. It will trap the body in a box. And then it will reduce the level of oxygen. Some of you may be experiencing that already, to the point where if you don't have enough oxygen in your body because you're holding back, because you feel too small, then I can guarantee you an easy target for viruses. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Just close your eyes and feel through your hand, there'll be energy that's coming to your heart. And it's a choice, right? We choose to release the contamination of jealousy because it's not serving you. It's just creating a trauma. So just hold the space. Okay, that's much better. So my body is already locating the energy of jealousy in each one of you, or in the energy of your ancestors. So maybe one of your ancestors 20 years ago or 100 years ago was very jealous, and that reflected in you. And then you think that's your jealousy, but it's not really you. It's a behavior of an ancestor. That's why this gets to be complicated, because there's a lot of things that you think is your stuff, but you're contaminated with that. So we're clearing that belief system in a past life or in an ancestor story. And just drink a little more water, please. And we're bringing your body back into balance. Some of you may be feeling like you're maybe a little lightheaded. Some of you may be feeling angry. Some of you may be feeling frustrated. Some of you may be feeling surprised about the experience. It depends what's your reality, what's your reflection, what's the reflection of your ancestors, what's the past life that maybe got triggered by this. There's different realities, right? So the beauty of the fifth dimension, once it gets to download in your body and brings the unconditional love to your heart, because that's what we're using, it will repel that contamination. And you will feel that you own your space. Owning your space to me is like you have this gentle feeling that you feel safe, or you feel love, or you feel kind to yourself. And then your body starts going into balance. Some of you may feel warmer, because first we have to remove the contamination. And then we do the healing. And so it's a two-step process. All right, so it's in the process. It may take like 10 minutes. Does anyone have any question about this process?
You are all on mute, so just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions.
Okay, that's good. So anybody wants to share how you're feeling? Okay. This is good. This is good that you're digesting this information. So let me see what else he wants me to talk to you about. So as a human evolution, and this is very important to all of you to know, we're changing, and we're changing very fast since 2012. We're changing really fast because we're welcoming now to a bigger awakening of love instead of trauma, okay? So a lot of people are more aware of the different illnesses in their body. And they're trying to do something about it because they're realizing that's not really who they are. And there's a beauty when it comes to that, because your body is teaching you how to awaken into your own reality, in the reality that you want to create with yourself. So that's why when I work in this type of clearings, I do it. I don't work in relationships. I work in your personal empowerment by making these experiences, that you can be aware of these experiences. All right, so any question to that? All right, good. So we're going to do, I want each one of you to choose a number. What are the numbers? Let's go from number 1. How many are we in the group right now?
I think we're 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, so go ahead, sweetie. and choose a number for each one of the guests that are in Zoom. Jenny. Mm-hmm. And I'll get a piece of paper too.
Ooh, what's the number going to be for you guys?
Okay, so what are the numbers?
So Addie is 1.
Okay.
Christy is 2.
Mm-hmm.
Joyce is 3.
Okay.
Nancy is 4.
Okay.
Tammy is 5.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia is 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you and I need numbers or.
You can be 7 if you want to. All right. So I'm not going to call the names, but I'm going to just look at the numbers. Okay. And by looking at the numbers, I can tell some of what is your personal reality. Okay. Things that can empower you, and behaviors that you may choose that, it's a block, right? Remember, we are
Elena,
contaminated. Mm-hmm.
Before we do that, does anyone need me to repeat the numbers? Does everyone know what your individual number is? Yes. Okay. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So I'm going to do a reading here. Okay. And this is the way how it just works when we look into the memory, cellular memory. Okay. So we're going to start with number 2. And you focus a lot in your future, which is really beautiful. But when you look into the future, you're afraid that some things may not happen in your life, because if they happen in your life, this is subconsciously, okay? There's a connection between the subconscious level and the cellular memory. If you are really good in what you do, it creates fear, and that's what holds you back, because this is, again, subconsciously. You may not be aware of this, because if you really show you through who you are and your full potential, you find that as something that can, instead of being something positive, it can just confuse you or something like that. So the contamination and the reason why you're holding back to go into the next level of creation, and that's what we're going to give you unconditional love right now. The contamination is the maybe, just maybe, okay? This is subconsciously. You grew up in an environment through your mother where daughters cannot be better than their mothers. I'm not saying that's completely that story with your mom, but that's the genetic mutation that you carry in your body. So therefore, the best thing to do is accept that you're a powerful person and face your vision into your strong person to help you to overcome that. By the way, I'm already removing the block too. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is a little different. You used to be very shy when you were young. I don't know if you're aware about that. But by being shy subconsciously, it kind of holds you back into developing emotional maturity the way how you want to. And sometimes it's kind of hard for you to say what you want, to the point where if you say what you want, you feel like it's not in a safe place. So it is, in a way, and again, this may be in the subconscious level and the conscious level, it is, the toxic is in your liver. So, so what we need to do is help you to go into a more emotional process, learning how to share your feelings, your choices, your expectations, to be able to detox your liver. So I'm actually doing that in the process already. Okay. And if you guys have questions after you, let me know, but I kind of want to finish with everyone, okay? Number 4, you have this peaceful, calm energy of one of your ancient ancestors that makes you feel like life is so full of opportunities. This may be in the subconscious level. So you have the tendency to be nurturing. Okay, nurturing is one of your biggest attributes. I don't know if you're using it or you're not using it, but a nurturing energy is a healing energy. Okay, so when you're nice to you instead of being harsh with yourself, you are healing yourself. So the message is thinking the things in your behavior with yourself and just view the times that you are being harsh or you question yourself or you diminish yourself. And just reverse the behavior to a behavior where you're more a healer through nurturing love. Like, it's okay to be in that way. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to have everything figured out. Or it's okay that I make mistakes. That's the big one. Fear of making mistakes. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5 is, something else for number 4. Don't hold back in your power. Okay. Number 5, you're a very old spirit. It's like wisdom is very important to you. Okay. So when people has that tendency or have been trained to their ancestors or subconsciously into wisdom, they like to structure things. Okay. So you like to structure things. This again is your subconscious level. I don't know if you're manifesting this in the conscious level. So you like the structure, you like to organize, you do things in a way that they're so organized because it brings fulfillment. It's just that sometimes when you're contaminated with something, that structure may become into control, trying to control everything. And that is a contamination. You cannot own that. So what we need to do is we need to release some of that control out of your system to be able to generate more oxygen in your body, to be able to breathe better, okay? So that's what we're working on right now. Number 6, your subconscious level has the tendency of not taking life seriously, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing big. Sometimes, when I was young, I didn't really take life seriously because I was very playful with myself. That was my reflection of the world. But one of the things I had to learn is, even though I don't take life seriously, that doesn't mean that I should not take myself seriously. Okay. So I have learned that when I look into myself and something's hurting, instead of pretending that something is not there, it's just to face the situation. Okay. Just in a very gentle way. Why am I feeling in this way? Why do I feel like I'm not valuable? You start asking questions to you. So what we're increasing, the energy we're increasing in you is the energy of value, okay? That's what you need right now. So again, it's going to take like a couple of weeks to process all these different energies that I'm doing, because I'm doing it to a level that I don't know why, because the energy of today and yesterday are so strong when it comes to healing that we need to, it's just, you're just receiving so much, right? So you're going to be processing this. It doesn't happen overnight. Number 7. Okay, number 7, I think you're learning how to make choices. The choices are valuable in the impact of your life. And so what you're learning also are learning to let things go, because they're in the way of you becoming who you want to become. But the benefits of that is that you don't have to be afraid of what you don't know. You're shifting into the energy, or going to shift in the energy, or being comfortable into the energy of what you don't know. Okay, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful to embrace what you don't know. Okay, number one is quite interesting. It took me a little longer to put the different things together, and mainly because number 1 always expects to be number 1, right? So we kind of wanted to change that a little, because what I wanted to remove expectations out of your energy. Okay, so in your cellular level, there's a lot of little memories, ancestral memories of physical abuse or emotional abuse to women. Okay, so your tendency subconsciously in cellular tendency is to make yourself vulnerable or smaller. As a consequence, a part of your body, again, the contamination of feeling that you're a victim are something that we're releasing right now, because you're not, you're very powerful, but the contamination always keeps telling you, because of the abuse that you went through your ancestors, that you're not a creator. So we're going to start teaching you that you're not a survivor, you're not, or those stories from the past, but you're a creator, that you can be in charge of your life, that you can move forward into the possibilities that you want, and then you can step into a bigger game, into creating what you really want, and enjoying that, and grounding in that, and honoring that you're capable of creating what you want. And that can be in anything that is in your life. Okay, that's the message. I hope everybody got something.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you all if you want to unmute yourselves, and feel free to ask Elena. I think we have some time to just ask questions or share. What was that like for you? Did you feel a truth? Did you feel a release? And like Elena said, this could take up to a couple of weeks. It is unfolding. The energy is very, very strong right now. But some of you may have experience with this type of work. Some of you may not. So any question at all or any sharing, we'd love to hear from you guys. Anyone?
Okay, I
I'll
can go in. Oh.
say
Tammy,
something.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because when we started, I said I did feel lightheaded when you said that. So that was pretty amazing. And my one question, though, is I would like to have a meeting with you, with my daughter, but I'm not sure she would understand the level that we talked about. When you talk with kids, do you talk a little bit lighter? You know what I mean? A little easier for them to understand? Because I think she would get overwhelmed.
I will talk to you. I wouldn't talk to her.
Okay.
And through your energy of unconditional love for her, we can see what's the situation, and we can help her to detox from
Okay,
the past
perfect.
and relatives. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will contact you then. Thank you.
It'll be a pleasure, hon. Okay. Any other
I
questions?
do that for Tosh and Chloe, Tammy, and it's been really powerful.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other question?
Christy?
I just wanted to say that what you, when you were talking, doing the number talking, what you said to me was, yeah, there was, yeah, it was very, very powerful. I also, I guess, when you were going through the other numbers, there were things in what you were saying about others that also resonated with me to a level, and I'm just curious about that. Can there be a crossover? Because some of the stuff you're like, oh yeah, that too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely a crossover. Yes, because we all are connected. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something that I wanted to share with all of you is that sometimes we act in ways that we're not aware of it, but the contamination is in the subconscious level. And I think that is why the work I do is so efficient, because I can go to the subconscious level and I can be able to observe what's going on, and then we can bring that into the awareness. And that's when the healing happens a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, hon.
Virginia, Nancy, Joyce, or Addie, do you guys have anything that you'd like to share?
I felt more connected to what was being said about other people than I don't understand mine.
Okay. What number were you?
1.
Okay. So do you have a lot of expectations about yourself, hon?
I expect perfection, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that hit home, and I'm really trying hard to be nicer and kinder to myself. Lately, because of my family dynamics, I'm caring for my mom, and I can be pretty hard on myself when I'm not good enough for her, and I don't know how to heal from it, how to be better.
Okay, let me check how we're going to do it. Okay, just a second. The best gift that you can give your mother, even if she's not aware, is to be yourself. Because the mother that you see right now, hon, is not going to survive. She's going to go through evolution. So it doesn't, why to hold back yourself if she's going to change? When she goes to a higher frequency, like in the future, what I'm saying is that she's really going to value who you are. It's just going to take some time. So holding back yourself for something that's not going to last is not fair to you. Is that making sense?
Sort of.
Okay. So my mother is a person who she wanted me to be perfect. All right. So when I was like 7 or 8, and when she would punish me or physically hurt me, my gifts, the reason why she punished me is because my gifts, while I was channeling, I was speaking the truth, and it was the truth that she couldn't hear. So she got angry with me and she will punish me. All right. So your mom is kind of in that way. If you don't say what she wants you to hear, she will push you away and she will block you and you will pay for it. Is that making sense? Do you think that's love or that's a contamination?
Probably contamination.
So it is possible that you want the contamination to love you. Like when my mother will get so angry with me, I wanted to love that part of her that she was angry. Because I thought by loving my mother and trying to please her and becoming perfect and becoming everything that she wanted me to be was love. But I was loving the shadow. I was loving the contamination. So I decided that I'm going to love that part of my mother that is no contamination. And when the contamination comes and tries to have a relationship with me, like temper, self-pity, punishment, corruption, whatever, however it looks like, that's when I set my boundaries and say, I'm not connecting to that. And as a consequence, I get to be who I want to be. That is the best gift that you can give yourself. Because being perfect, wanting to be perfect, is a contamination. And you're trying to have a relationship with the contamination. Nobody is perfect. And you deserve to see the value that you have by letting that story go. So you want some help, huh? Okay, so just drink a little water and put your hand close to your heart. So when is the last time that you went to the store and got really nice clothes for you and love yourself, huh?
I don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Because you're just spending your time wanting your mom to love you. And the moment that she loves you, you will be free. So we're going to break that cycle, okay, hon? All right, so just relax. I'm going to go to your heart and just get the contamination, get the hook. So this is the part that's really powerful because the support system that I have from the fifth dimension, they are the ones that are the surgeons that get to remove that from your body because they know you so well and they have so much unconditional love for you, okay? Oop, there you go, it's out. It just got out. Can you breathe better now? Good. So make sure to drink water, at least a couple of glasses of water, okay? But there's something else. Who is your mother comparing you to?
I don't know.
Is she comparing you to herself?
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's not something I can ask and get an answer for now.
Mm-hmm.
Where she's at, her disease, her dementia. I don't
It
know.
is. Mm-hmm.
But I know that she's happy here. She's happy living with me and my husband. I just don't feel like I'm always good enough for her.
For the contamination. Well, never going to be good enough for the contamination. Yeah. So just remember someday in the future, when she's balanced, she's able to have, even though it's in the future, another lifetime. It's okay to love yourself now. There's something bigger though. Your mom, and this is the mistake of the moms, they have kids in the 60s, 70s. The way of protecting their kids was by them wanting to have their children to behave the way how they are. My daughter will be safe if she's like me, because I already have learned, how terrible is the world. So if she does exactly what I want her to do, then she's going to be safe and she doesn't have to suffer the way I suffer. That's kind of what your mom thought too. It's a generation. And we got hurt by it. Does that make sense?
It does, and I just got another big release.
Good. All right. Okay, ladies, it was a pleasure to talk to all of you. Any other questions?
Virginia or Nancy or Joyce, do either of you have any questions?
Well, I'm also sorry if you hear some background noise. My husband is using the saw downstairs. We're remodeling our kitchen. So, but I have to tell Lena that, yeah, you hit home. I'm number 3. And yes, I was very, very shy when I was a kid. I kind of like blended into the background, blended into my family. I was the youngest, always treated like the youngest. I always felt like I wasn't being heard.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I never spoke, definitely, how I felt about things. And that's been an ongoing. I have since, in the last probably 10 years, have become a little bit more vocal, but there's still that hesitant there with when it gets closer to home. I guess because I still feel like I'm not being heard. And I'm kind of going through that with my boss in a sense too right now. And I also connected with Addie as far as some of the things that you had with her. Some of the crossover and some of the other areas and stuff. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. There is something that I want to share with you, and I think you are going to understand this. Why a contamination gets created? A contamination is created because it's trying to stop something or someone, right? So, and this is for everybody. What is so special about you that something it is out there making sure that you cannot have that? It is the love that you have for yourself, hon. Because if you love yourself, you can figure out everything on your own. I'm still trying to understand the concept. You know, can I really have everything that I want if I love myself? And I have seen miracles happening, and there's still things in my life I'm working on. But when I look at each one of you, including your story, when I saw that you were very shy when you were young, you were very shy because you were very in tune with the world. And you were already experiencing these feelings that you didn't want to experience, like rejection, like fear, like bullying, even before you experience it.
Yeah.
And we cannot make you wrong for that. I mean, like, you have this gift, you know, in the time of the Incas, 500 years ago, you have been born there. They will have looked at you and say, oh my gosh, she's so connected to the world because she's so shy. This is a gift of God because we get to learn from her. Why is she tuning into the world that we have to be aware to stop and be more aligned? Or how can she give us something with her gifts? But we live in a society we are so hammered not to own our feelings. And we would detach and we lose ourselves in the process, right? Just remember that when you feel like your boss is not listening to you, and I'm just going to give you something special right now because I'm already decoding something that can help you with speaking your truth. The truth that you know things and you're not aware of it, that most of the people wouldn't know, because that's what it came into the gift of being sensitive. Does that make any sense? If you own that part of you, and you don't have to master it tomorrow, just own it. Then you're going to start holding back more into your own value. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's something else because I'm not communicating. You're not a victim, hon. And you know why you're not a victim right now? Because right now, at this moment, you're choosing not to be a victim. Right now, in this moment, because of the coding that they're doing, you're choosing to be in charge of your life. And however it's going to look like, changes are going to start coming, even if you're not aware of it. Okay? Right. All right. It has been a pleasure to get in contact or connect to the energy of each one of you. I am so much gratitude for each one of you at this time in history, because you're a great contribution, even if you don't feel it. And so understand that loving yourself has the answer to every solution that we're looking for. Okay, and I'm still rediscovering that for myself too. But there's so much truth on that. All right? And all of you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Elena, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you.
Elena, before you leave, I just want to share different, like, if anyone is interested in continuing their work with Elena, then Elena Radford, the Inca Shaman, you can Google that. Or Elena, what is the direct, I should know this by now, but
The IncaWay.com.
the IncaWay.com. Yes.
Okay.
So the IncaWay.com, and you can schedule an appointment with her. And Elena, just so that people understand, you can work with them obviously in a lot of different ways, kind of like you just did.
Yes.
You can scan the body for ailments, disease, infections, work with subconscious beliefs, traumas, contaminations, all these things. So I just want to let you know. And yes, Elena just typed in the address in the chats, theincaway.com. So thank you again, Elena. I'm so grateful, and we are meeting in 4 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. If you can give me 10 minutes, I'll be great, honey. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, sweetie. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.